Yeah, that's right, everybody. It's a nothing but Netflix on Rob Has a Podcast, and we are back. And we have the pleasure today to talk about the number one TV show on Netflix. Everybody's talking about it. It's Beef. And I am so excited to talk about everything from season one of Beef, although we will be spoiler free to start. And a man who never has beef with anybody. It's Chappell. Chappell, how are you?
Rob, I'm shocked that you would say that. That's how I am. I am good overall. I have so many thoughts about
Yeah,
what we just
this is gonna be a
watched.
fun podcast.
Yeah, but Rob, I'm actually pretty good at keeping up a beef. You would be shocked.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're like I can see it actually.
I could
Yeah,
see it. I could see
yeah.
it. Yes, and really so fortunate that one of our great friends is here because we would want to be on her good side and not get into a beef with her. Of course, you could hear her every week on the Mess Magnets and also on our brand new venture, Big Deck Energy, talking about a below deck. It's Sasha Joseph. Sasha, how are you?
So excited to be here. You know, you said we're watching a show about a short, angry Asian woman. So we have to bring a resident short, angry Asian woman. So here I am. And I can't wait. Like, what a show. What a show.
What a show. And I'm just so excited to get to talk about everything that went on here. But I guess I do want to just give people a warning and just we're just gonna set it up here. We're gonna talk about what beef is, why you need to watch it, and then we will talk about everything coming up here in a moment. But no spoilers, just to set this up. Chappelle, you must have just raced through this because we were talking the other night and you hadn't even started this yet.
I knew that I wanted to watch episodes 1 and 2. Normally when we talk about these series, we only cover the first two, or we'll do one episode because it's a lot of work for us to really go through all of this stuff with a fine tooth comb and talk about it and hit all the points. Um, but the next thing I knew, I was 4 episodes in. I was like, well, I got this far. I got to keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And then about 6 episodes in, I was like, what did I sign up for here? And then by the last episode, I said, okay, I absolutely don't know what I signed up for, but I enjoyed every second of this. This was wild. It was confusing. Man, this is probably the best thing I've watched this year for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Sasha, can you just explain what beef is to anybody who is
Yes.
wondering?
Yes. So Beef is a Netflix show, duh. And they have billed it in the award circuit as a limited series anthology. So something for us to see. But basically, it is a series of lots of fights that begins with a road rage incident between two complete strangers who are on very different sides of the world, the way they live, etc., etc., and then ensue shenanigans.
Yeah. Chappelle, did the marketing for this prepare you for what this was?
Hell no. Let me tell you something. I remember seeing the trailer on Twitter a long time ago, and it was like a road rage show. I thought that it was okay, kind of like the movie Road Trip. They cut off that
Oh,
one
oh
car, and
my
then all of a
God.
sudden, yeah, is that what it is? Yeah, or whatever, wrong turn or something like that. I don't know. But it's the movie where they cut off the guy and then he
Not the
follows
movie we
them.
watched with Queen Latifah and Ludacris, right?
No,
Oh my
absolutely not.
God.
End of the road, dear God, we've done so much.
Yeah,
But
end of the
yeah,
world. Oh
yeah,
no.
it's one of those shows where like you cut somebody off and then they just can't let it go, and that's what I thought we were gonna watch. And in a way, it really was that, but there was so much more involved in this. I was like, what happened to the road rage? I forgot it happened. If there wasn't a little YouTube clip that kept circulating, I would have completely forgot that this all started off with somebody honking the horn at someone.
Yeah. Starts off innocently enough, Sasha, and it just is a situation that just continues to escalate. Stephen Yun and Ali Wong, who are together, and really give the Emmy to Ali Wong.
She
Yes, God.
deserves everything, right? She is
Yes,
an
give her
executive
everything.
producer on this.
Yeah, I
but
think they both
also-
are, right?
Yeah, they both are. With the creator who is also the director. So it's fascinating. But anyway, it's just all of it is so flawed and so beautiful. And I just feel and very relatable. am not Korean, but I am Asian. And I was like, wait, are they in my house? Like, how do they know this story? And the whole therapy stuff, Western therapy doesn't work on Eastern minds. Truer words have not been spoken. So it's just, I can't believe how well this was done.
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
chemistry, Rob, the chemistry. These two
Yes.
people, you could tell that they've worked together before. They were on Tuca and Birdie, the animated sitcom. I think 3 seasons of
Shout out
that.
Kirsten.
Yeah, shout out to Kirsten and Lindsay over there at BoJack Horsepies. But yeah, she was Birdie and he was Speckle, and here we are. So I think it just seeped into this as like their natural. Sasha, you good? It just seeped into this as their natural chemistry, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, Sasha just had a complete mic drop moment.
Yeah,
Drop the
apparently.
mic.
Here's the thing. It's that I don't know if I want them to like have like wild sex or kill each other. And I think that's why this works really well because
Yes.
they're so aggy, but also I was like, and kiss, and kiss, and kiss.
And really, you get that in the first scene of the show where they're going to end up having this confrontation. And I will say that I did not know where this was going, whether this was going to be, this like, the two of them versus each other, or if this was going to eventually become a romantic comedy where they're going to fall in love by the end of the show. And we'll talk about what does happen. But yeah, I feel like that my expectations were repeatedly subverted, Chappell.
Yeah, there were plenty of times where I audibly screamed. Like I think not the last episode, but I think episode 9, I just hollered. I was like, ah! And it was just, I had to release that because I was shocked. How did we get to the point where people are literally getting chopped in half? How did that happen? Like, this started off with road rage. What's going on here? We take a journey of these two individuals that are so complex. You could have never thought all of this was going to come from the people. And then by the end, you're like, of course, this is these people. This is them. They've always been like this. And this beef was bound to happen. If it wasn't going to be them two, it was going to be them with someone else. And so, but it was perfect. These two were amazing throughout. The supporting cast was cool, but I mean, they ate them up.
Okay. We have so much of this to talk about. Is there anything else?
Fun fact?
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Also, the Jordana is her name, right? The white millionaire, billionaire, whatever.
Yes.
So her house, I've actually is a.
You've seen it
set.
before?
No, I've danced there before.
Oh.
So I was at. We talked about this beforehand, but I was also at an adult Jewish summer camp.
Okay.
And it is like a place of this beautiful. It's called the House of the Book in Simi Valley, and I went to this like really beautiful experiential hippie camp for 26 days, and you get to pick like an art. So I picked dance, and that is like the spot where we danced. So it's wild to see that like place that I had this transformation, this like tears, all these beautiful experiences to be this lady's house. Can I just say? And every time it was on there, I was like, I'm stressed. Like, how dare you?
What I thought you were going to say is that some people have also ID'd that house that you're talking about. It's also the house that I believe is the setting for the Miley Cyrus video for Flowers.
Correct.
I am today years old when I found that out, but I love it. I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that video. But yeah, it makes so much sense now. This house is getting getting passed around a little bit. I see.
It's not even a house. It's like people do synagogue services. Yeah. It's like it's literally just an open space with 3 like rounds. It's wild. It's beautiful, but wild.
Okay. All right. So we've got a lot to talk about. I want all of the people who are going to go check it out, go check it out now, because we have so much to talk about here with the entire season 1 of Beef. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. You're spoiled at your own peril. Probably the only season of Beef, right?
I hope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want this to be the only.
They said limited series, and so I think that they're announcing that this is it. And honestly, I just don't know what more you could do.
Squid Game. Leave it at season 1.
Leave it alone. You know, like we're getting another Squid Game, and now we have to keep our fingers crossed to see if that turns out as good as the first one. But here, they just threw everything at you. So much content about these two characters. You would have to go get two different characters because I think I know these characters so well. Like I feel like I grew up with them and very far away from them, obviously, because they're horrible. But there's so much in this one season. I don't think I need a season 2. I like this the way it is. Please don't ruin it.
Yeah. I don't think you could do a season 2. How could you have a season 2 based on how season 1 ended?
I'm tired. I don't want to be in
so tired.
this much anger.
I can sleep for 19 hours, even though Ali Wong says it's impossible.
It is not impossible.
Definitely not impossible. But yeah, you're right. I don't need another season, but what could you do? I mean, by the end of this, they had essentially resolved the beef to the point where they were each other's person. That they know each other so well that they were talking. Their bodies had switched basically, and they're talking for each other because they now love each other unconditionally. This is something that they can do with no one else because they've never let anybody in to that extent. I don't think anybody really let somebody in to the extent that they were in. I'm talking about they went through childhood traumas, beat by beat, day by day, and it's till they just merged into one person. So when it ends with her laying on top of him and just kind of waiting on him to recover, I think there's nothing else there. It's it. That is the result. The end of this. The resolution is done, and I just don't think there's anything else they could give us.
Yeah, the show was so powerful in taking us on this ride with these two characters. And really, I feel like that the show is so complicated and about so many different things. But I think at the heart of it is that you had these two very broken people who were both missing something. And ultimately, it turns out like that their worst enemy happens to be their person who is ultimately like the only other person who gets them.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful and painful to, I think, know someone that deeply, right? Where you're constantly fighting but you've also shown the ugliest side of you, and then they still somehow stick around. So I think that's where the ending just takes us. And why add more? But also, it's just, I don't know that I could ever let someone see like the deepest, that much. Like, it's too much. I don't know. I'm a Cancer, right? Like, I can't let people know all of those emotions that I have. I just can't.
Yeah. And me and Sasha, we are very similar to this pair. We got each other, okay? I know Sasha, she knows me, but we don't know each other like that. We do beef, but it's all in good fun. You know what I'm saying? Me and Sasha have our argument.
We beef that we're friends.
But she see me at some low moments, and vice versa. And so we know each other that well. Now, multiply that times 100, and that's what you have with these people.
Chappell, is this like what Professor X and Magneto had?
I don't think anybody could have gotten this close. Like, I don't even Professor X and Magneto. Because it was to the point where the quiet parts, the part that you think really deep down that nobody else knows except you, that deepest hurt that you would never tell anybody because you don't even want to venture to that place. You're hiding it from yourself. They now have it. Both of them now have that from each of them. And when I say they had some dark moments, these people are awful. They're awful. I was waiting on them to redeem themselves. They never redeemed themselves in my eyes. They're two awful people who finally came to terms with being awful.
And they found each other to be awful with.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was.
Yeah.
This whole life, you're just trying to find another awful person.
That's what we're all looking for. I was so mesmerized by the last episode of this show. It was just incredible because after, everything that happens, all the hijinks in episode 9, you come back in episode 10. It opens up with the crows talking to each other, and you're like, what the hell is going on? What is with these crows? We could talk more about the crows, but just the journey that they go on together from the elderberries. Now, Chappell, I saw Glenn take the elderberries in the prison, and that fixed everything.
Yeah, Glenn is not getting away with that this time.
Yeah.
It definitely was some hallucinogens in their system, and they tripped out together. And it's funny because the whole time they're still trying to beef. At no point have they put the beef aside. So they're trying to beef while they're exploring the deepest, darkest parts of each other. And to the point where, I mean, they're explaining things to each other that they didn't even want to know about each other. It was so beautiful. The way they painted it, the way it looked, the camera, the effects, all of that stuff. And it just started, like you said, it started off with those crows talking. When the crows started talking, I thought it was a dream sequence or something. But no, that's just episode 10. That's just how it went.
Just episode 10. Okay, Sasha, one of the internet theories that's out there is that there's some people that feel like that either in the car crash or after eating the berries that they died. Do you think, is there any,
no.
You don't think there's a world where they
Stop
have
this.
passed?
Okay, what? Okay, spoiler alert. But like, what is this lost? Like, stop. No, absolutely not. Again, I watched this like it's on YouTube, but this breakdown of what happens, and they the creator even talked about it that no, we just wanted an ending where the audience kind of got what they want, and it felt like an end and this like nice moment of this is what happened. They actually even did the a little bit of the ending scenes in post because of how charged that moment was. So no. The point is they want them to be together in whatever way that may mean.
What ending scenes did they do in post, Sasha? Did they say?
So when Ali Wong is looking at him right in the bed, and their original meeting starts playing, that was all done in post. It was just supposed to be her looking at him like, oh, this guy. But instead they felt like it was more powerful for them to remember how they got here.
Yeah. And you know, Sasha keeps saying that they found each other because there's speculation that this is completely platonic, and there's some people who really wanted this to be a relationship. But it yeah, and throughout I kind of was like, there's some tension there. Y'all could explore it. But at the end, yeah, they found platonic friendship, and it's unconditional. It didn't have to deal with physical attraction or sexual energy or anything like that. It was just that they just gave themselves to each other. Now he did it and ended up in a hospital bed, but I don't think they died in the car accident, because that would rob us of the moment, right? The moment where they actually let their guards down, explain to each other what they have done, you know, the things that they feel like they're missing out of their life. And then and that's more fulfilling for me than to think, oh, this is just some random, you know, dream sequence or, you know, made up scene at the end of a great television show.
And we've talked about Asian trauma this whole season, right? So then to talk about trauma and then not say that like there is a way to break the generational curse and there is a way to really like live into your full being without holding on to that trauma, that's messed up to say no, you die and then things might get better. So I refuse to subscribe to that because again, it's real. Okay, immigrant trauma, it's real. And to like not see an end of the tunnel, no pun intended, I will not. I rebuke it.
Okay. The show is really about so many different things. One of the other themes in this show is it's a show about how millennials potentially deal with the onset of midlife crisis, which has not really been explored. For either of you millennials that I am speaking to, did you get that from this?
I think they're a little older, right? They're supposed to, yeah. I mean, but they're older millennials, so you're right. I did not get midlife crisis. That's interesting because I think I just got like Asians finally understanding that they don't have to like toe the party line, and they can maybe be their own person. But that is like, I guess, a midlife crisis.
Yeah, they do. They talk about like, hey, our generation, and you know, like the internet came and we were out of the house, and you know, so I think that both things I think are there.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, and they're both at a crossroads at this point because it seems like they're both unhappy in general. You know, he started off the series trying to like take his own life. And so for us to watch 10 episodes of a person who didn't want to be alive for the first one, I think that we did explore a lot of the things that was making him feel that way. And then the same thing with her. You know, we know that she was unhappy. They had to be if they let this one incident throw them off the rails. And so if you want to say it's a midlife crisis, that's fine. All I knew was these people had moments to get their life together, and it took a very long time to do it.
Another big theme of the show is this idea about how everything fades. It's repeated a number of times by Ali Wong in the finale, and they're talking about how, like, there's like this pursuit of happiness, but even no matter how great like a thing is, or you feel like a moment is, that you can't keep these things ever. It's fleeting.
Oof. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
It's
hard. Yeah.
and it is deep because they say everything fades, but they're talking about positive and the negative as well. Ali Wong's character had been carrying this trauma with her for so long. She was still seeing the face of this, this mythical character that is
Like a
like there to,
witch.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
there to remind her that I see you when you do bad stuff, and you're doing bad things, and you're a bad person. And she carried that with her for so long. But if we get the resolution that they live, then yeah, that too faded. And so I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I think old Amy would have had the witch in the room with her, right, in the hospital if she
Hmm.
had not gone on this like transformational journey. So again, that is why. But I have to say, this like fictional character that is always watching you. Did your parents do that too? Because that's very much something my mom and a bunch of parents made up that was stuck with me, and that
Talk
became like
about
your
this, Sasha.
conscience.
Tell us about the fictional character.
Yeah,
Yes.
they would like it's like the boogeyman, but they would say that the
Hmm.
boogeyman will come get you if you don't act correct, and
Like a
it's
bad
not our
Santa.
fault. Yeah, is that what? Sure, I
Or
don't know what that.
Krampus. Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, not
I don't know what
Krampus.
that. But yeah, we would have like every time you do something wrong, they'd be like, "Oh," and they'd say his name, and then you have to be like, "Oh shoot, okay, let me get my life together," and because this thing, your parents are also scared of it. So that's how you know it's bad because your parents are invincible. So
Mhm.
that was like a thing, and all my friends in India had it where you grew up with like this fictional character that, or sometimes it would be a relative, and
Yeah,
that's
Mhm.
all
ghosts are
bad.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd be like, your relative is here, or I'm gonna call that uncle if you don't like whatever
Mhm.
you're fearful of, parents capitalize on it. And that's so bad now that I really think about it. But
Yeah. Well,
here we
I
are.
mean, there's so many powerful themes that are in this show. One of the things that they touch on is the idea of unconditional love, and that Amy talks about how like wanting to get that, and in her mind that she was going to get that from her parents, and then ultimately from her husband and child, and realize that like there is no unconditional love anywhere. Even a baby is not going to love you unconditionally. You have to like give the baby what they want. The baby is a terrorist, Chappelle.
Yeah. And when they said it, I was, yeah, truer words have never been spoken. I was like,
Hmm.
yes, yes, talk about these kids. No, I'm kidding. But like it was one of those moments where when she said it at first, I was like,
You say
what?
F the
Like,
babies?
I didn't say anything. And so it was one
He
of these
did.
moments where I didn't say anything. So what
F the
there
babyarchy.
I didn't say yes to baby Arky. Okay. So look, when she said it at first, I was like, okay, I hear you. It's kind of weird for you to be trying to expect something like expect your baby to not love you for what you're giving it because it requires you to live. You know what I'm saying? So of
And
course,
you chose to bring the baby in this world.
right. But when they start to explain it to them and out loud say, like, well, yeah, this baby came and it didn't make my life better. And in fact, it made it worse because it was now one more thing that I had to care for and one more thing that I had to carry with me. I think that's valid. I don't think it's I don't think they get a pass for it because you chose to bring this baby in. But at the same time, it is a valid feeling that I think a lot of people feel. They have a child and then their world changes. Rob, I'm sure you can, relate to that.
For sure. I mean, there's so many parts of this that I just found. I don't want to say relatable, but I definitely like feel like that I could see her, and I could see a lot of the experiences that the people in the show were going through. Not just Amy and her character who had Junie and thought that Junie would like fill a hole in her, but also the flashbacks in all through episode 8 where we saw both Amy and Danny's parents, and how they had just this like love towards this newborn baby that they thought was going to be this perfect this to quote the ending of the first episode and Hoobastank, this perfect person, and it turned out to be very flawed people.
Human, you mean?
Yeah.
Right? It's just to be human, right? It's to whatever. But it's so unfortunate, but again, very real, where in episode 8 specifically, Rob, right, where they have this conversation of, we came to this country for you and we changed our lives for you. Again, I was like, get out of my family. How dare you? But right, this whole burden or of responsibility that's put on your shoulders because your parents did immigrate to give you a better life, but that doesn't equal that you can't be a flawed person, but instead that's the expectation. I think a lot for Asian kids specifically, where it's like, no, you have to act X, Y, and Z because look at everything I did for you. And you do think about your parents, and you think about even for me, like my mom worked at had her own thriving business in India, and then we moved here and worked at Subway for a while until we got back on our feet here. So it's just, and then you're like, so how can you be mean to that person, right, that worked this hard for you? But then you're like, but I'm also a human and I get to be my own person. So it was so real, and I didn't appreciate how correct it was.
Yeah, even when Amy goes to visit her parents, she hadn't seen them in 2 years. So Amy's like inability to take accountability for anything that she's done led her to going back to her parents to be like, y'all made me like this. You did this. Why did y'all do this? Where did you go wrong? And then when she really started to dive into it, it's like, yeah, she got those feelings as a child from her parents. She experienced that from them, but her choices were still her own. If you go back to episode 1, there's a moment where she pauses and she does not flip that boy off. She thinks about it for a second, and then she does it. She's like, nah, let's get it. Let's pop it off. And he looks at her and thinks about it and is like, nah, I'm going to chase after her. Your choices are your own, and you cannot blame everybody else. Like, yes, a lot of us are products of our environment and the way we're brought up. But at the end of the day, you have to answer to your own conscience and your own, higher power and that's for you. You cannot put that on anybody else.
And there's so many points that, as you mentioned, Chappell, of like, should I do this or should I not? And there are, 37 different times that either one of them could have said, okay, this has gone far enough. And at each juncture, they escalate and escalate and escalate until this thing just completely spins out of control.
Have y'all never been in this kind of like frustration beef with someone? Because I am queen of like
Tell us, Sasha.
forgetting consequences to my actions, and I'm queen of just like, I have time today. So not that, listen, I would not follow someone down any alley, any roadway. I'm a woman. I'm not trying to, no. Okay, this is America. People got guns. I'm not playing these games.
In this show.
Thank you. And I was like, y'all really, but they must be in Orange County, so it makes sense. But I think they were in Simi Valley. It's different. But anyway, so the point is like, I do understand though being so angry that you just like, when I get angry, I see red. Like it does not matter consequences, and I will apologize like maybe in an hour. But in that moment, I think I'll do whatever. Like I will escalate it, and there is just no turning back. And it's not a good characteristic. I know I'm not bragging, but it's just I have Napoleon syndrome. I'm 5'1". It's very easy, rather I should say, for the anger to get from the ground to my head very fast because I'm short. So I just like I deeply in my soul understand how you would escalate and how you're like, I shouldn't do this, but I will.
What's the longest beef you've had with someone, Sasha?
Oh my God. I think I don't forgive. I don't forget. So I have many since high school, since a young age. It's just not gonna go away. Like it's there. And I have a pretty good memory, so I will tell you exactly why I'm mad at you, and I will never forget.
Yeah. The part of this beef that I related to the most was not the way the beef started, because they like Sasha said, they saw red. But the inability to stop the beef is where you get my attention, because for a second it felt like, oh, this is fun. I love this. This is kind of cool. And that energy right there, I was like, that's my energy.
Well, it brought both of them joy. I mean, at the end of the first episode, where Danny goes and urinates on the floor, that there is such joy in his face that we don't see throughout maybe the rest of the series. He's so happy when he's running away, and I feel like that Amy is happy too. That this has like she has this hole where she's looking like she is playing with a gun, with a unloaded gun, just for fun.
She wasn't playing with the gun.
She was playing with herself.
Okay, fine.
The gun was just there.
Yes,
it was not just there. But yes.
Yeah, but this is the excitement that she's craving.
There's this moment where I think it's after he pees, they kind of resolve everything for just a split second. And then next thing you know, he gets a text like, "Hey, I haven't heard from you all day." That means she was sitting at home like bored thinking, yeah, let's pop this off again. There was moments where they could have just stopped this. And she's like, nah, keep the party going.
But no, Chappelle, you, sir, are telling me that if someone peed on your, you would just be like, it's over. Let me leave it.
But I'm saying that when they finally came to for that conflict, when that finally ended.
Yeah, Chappelle pees on somebody's floor, then Nothing But Netflix gets 1-star reviews.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. No, so yeah, there were moments where it was kind of like there was a lull in the conflict.
Okay, that's valid.
But every time it was like, so where you been? And then you're like, but where you been, asshole? And it's like, oh, really? And the next thing you know, they're going back and forth. The problem is that they are beefing, and it's not like surface level beef. Their beef is like just a little bit like right before violence. So every time something violent happens, they automatically assume it was the other person. You like, what? Did you burn my house down? You know, that kind of stuff. It's like, no, I thought we was just playing. You know, I peed on such and such, but it's all right. You know, but next thing you know, it's like, did you expose my marriage? It was escalating so fast, and a lot of it wasn't even them. It was just consequences of their actions.
And other people were getting dragged in it. That I think, because the two of them were like, these are our boundaries. We're just going to do stuff to each other. And that's it. But then I think when the others were getting caught in the tornado, it was like the others were like, well, I don't know how to handle mess, so I will ruin it.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other supporting characters. And I would love to talk about, like, is this person villain or victim?
Oh, God.
Okay. Villain or victim. Okay. Let me start with George. Villain or victim in the show?
Okay.
I don't like George.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll start with that. I think that's all I got. I don't like him.
I believe he is a villain because of how much he plays the victim, if that makes sense. It's like, wake up, right? You're a sad little rich boy. We get it. Like, you grew up so rich. The life was so hard. Blah, blah. Shut up. It's embarrassing, George. Get it together. And then he is happily a kept man. Listen, it's hard to see other people living your dream. I get it. I would love
Look,
that.
I need it.
Me too. Okay. I wish, but it's fine. But George, this is the life you chose, and you're vanilla, and you're out here doing dirt.
He can't even look at vanilla anymore.
He shouldn't. Okay. Because he was Mia. I'm pretty sure that's enough vanilla he got. All right. So no, the point is George, but he thinks he's a victim, and that's what makes him a villain.
And he's a hypocrite.
I'm tired of him.
Yeah, George being like, oh my God, you cheated on me. You went and had sex with somebody else. Sir, you've been whacking it to the lady's like assistant.
He had an emotional twin, Chappelle.
Ain't no emotion involved in what he was doing. He was looking at Instagram photos. Sir, she wasn't even nude. Girl, stand up. Stand up.
Yeah, that was sad.
It's quick. It's vanilla.
We saw many of the characters pleasuring themselves on the show. This might have been a new record for one show.
Yeah, it was a theme throughout. And it also was to, like, I just feel like there are nude pictures available. You don't have to take
not of the. It was an emotional twin. There wasn't any nude pictures of his emotional twin. It wasn't about.
I wouldn't even talk about him. I'm looking back at at Stephen Yeun's character because he goes and steals his brother's phone to then use a picture that he got.
So that was very weird, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, because Danny, what are you doing?
Yeah, because Danny didn't even know whose butt that was.
Some white lady. That's what he thought.
He said, "Oh, this is some white lady's butt, and my brother likes her, so I need to go whack it."
And is that a thing to like keep the towel down like that? Like, what was going on?
That was new to me. I never saw that.
Okay.
Chappelle.
We move on. We move. Because I was like, what?
I don't know. I feel like that the phone was too close to the splash zone.
Yes. Okay, that was my question. Thank you. I didn't know how to say it, so.
Okay. All right.
This podcast is
talk
gonna have
about
a
different character. Right? Villain or victim? All right, Paul.
Paul is a victim. He is a victim, and it's his own fault. He does not have the motivation. Paul's and Danny's relationship reminds me so much of me and my little brother, because it's kind of
that
like
too when I was watching it. Yeah.
the whole time I was just like, yeah, get up, do something. So much has been required of me for my life, like so much, and then I go and do these things, and my parents barely flinch. My brother does the smallest things, the most minuscule task, and it's just like, let's throw him a party. I was like, what is this about? And so for Danny to be looking at Paul like, please get up, do something, pay a bill, do anything, I related to that. However, that's Paul's business. If Paul wants to ask Danny to help him out, Danny does not have to help Paul. He doesn't. Danny had already became codependent on his little brother.
Yeah.
He did that at a very young age. And so even if Paul wanted to get out, there was no escaping Danny's orbit. So I think Paul
He threw
is a
away
victim.
his college applications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guy actually tried for once to make something of himself, and his older brother sabotaged him. So yeah, I think Paul has to be a victim here. Also, he got used by Amy pretty obviously.
He did not stop the madness.
He got used. He
said,
used.
"Give me run my check."
Yeah, and she was like, "What?" So I'm saying, like, if you're gonna be a sugar baby, get the money up front.
Yeah, what
Okay?
an idiot. Come on.
Like, get the money up front.
Mhm.
Dummy.
Yeah. He was feeling it that night. He had a good run.
Yeah, and I was rooting for him because she was like, "Oh no, I'm married. We're definitely not getting physical tonight." I was like, "Yes, you are." And I said, like,
as soon as she said that, I was like, "Idiot, it's happening."
Here it comes.
When?
It's happening. It's happening. All right. How about Jordan? We talked about her. We talked about her house. Villain or victim?
Mega villain, super villain, hyper villain. Thanos ain't got nothing on her villain.
She got what she deserved.
She got perhaps the most violent death in the whole show.
It's what she deserved.
I screamed because I just wasn't expecting it.
It was wild.
She's running. They're trying to get to. First off, she has this new woman that she then stole from somebody. Her
brother.
That's
her
her brother.
sister-in-law.
Yeah. So she then married her sister-in-law. She then basically went and coerced them out of this chair and won't sell it back. And all her world just comes crashing down in one night. Next thing you know, they're running from these burglars, and these gunshots are whirring past them. They're running, they're dodging stuff. Her new wife jumps into the panic room. She's waiting. They're like within inches of grabbing this lady, and she presses the button, and only half of her makes it through, and the panic room door just slams.
My God.
And slams. And it's just like, I was like, oh,
why are you? Ew, stop.
It was such a good scene of TV.
Oh my God. It was ridiculous because the fact that, she was, first of all, she was pissing me off, right? She's giving mega colonizer energy the whole damn show. And I was like, when will this lady go down? Because I refuse. I cannot have her constantly winning. That's number one. And then two, she was like, oh, all of these break-ins or road rage incidents, I gotta get a panic room. And that was your demise.
Yeah.
Poetic chef's kiss.
But Sasha, shouldn't the panic room work like your garage door? No,
because what if a bad guy's trying to come in? Have y'all not seen the movie Panic Room?
I've seen the movie Panic Room. Rob hasn't.
Oh, Rob,
with Jodie Foster?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I saw it a long time ago.
Listen, my mom and I stayed alone when we watched that movie. Horrible idea. But the point is it has to be tight. So it don't matter who's getting, no one can get in is the point. So Naomi, you dirty bitch. Because you screwed it. Screwed your own wife.
Speaking of villains, this lady, Naomi, she was just like the worst character for me. Jordan sucks. But Naomi was so much worse because she's actively working against this woman and calling her sister. Like, oh, as Asian sisters have to stand up for each other. And then with 3 seconds later, it was like, and I will take you down with every fiber of my being, and I got time. What are you gaining from this?
Yeah.
Why are
She
you
had
like
some weird
this?
stuff going on too, right? That she zipped herself into
A Louis Vuitton bag, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich.
Let me have a rich depressive episode. She said.
Mhm.
She said, I'm so covered in money.
That's how I want to be depressed. Not normal, curled up in the ball in your house watching
With a
TV
hibachi grill. Yeah.
right in the dark. No, go zip yourself up into something rich. That way you feel good. You feel like money when you get out of there.
Can I
Yeah.
just? I'm not glorifying depression, but there are
I'm
ways to be
glorifying
depressed.
richness.
But
Yeah.
yes,
Depressed
I
with
Mhm.
money.
I want to be rich
Yeah.
like that. I do.
You're saying it beats driving to a random ass Burger King and eating 4 Burger King chicken sandwiches?
1000%.
He was down bad.
He was so embarrassing. Come on, wake
Mhm.
up.
Chicken, 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 chicken.
This is a Wendy's
Yes,
network,
okay.
so please, everyone.
You know that song, Chappelle?
No.
Yeah, BK, have it your way.
No.
Whopper, 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 Whopper. Junior,
No.
double, triple, Whopper.
I be forgetting Burger King is a place sometimes.
Now you're fighting with Burger King too.
Oh, they coming for me? Let's go.
No, you were fighting with Wendy's right before.
I hate them too. Yeah.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Can we just throw out random WTF things that happened in the 10
God.
episodes and discuss them?
Yes, please. I mean, we just zoomed right past it. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but this woman, her husband was hiding the gun from her. Okay, he had changed.
First of all, can we talk about that? Because
Right.
that's the moment
Sure.
number one.
He had changed the code to the safe. And she's like, "What? Don't you think I should have the code?" He's like, "No, you
He
shouldn't." And
looked
you know
to her
why?
face. He's like, no.
Yeah, and he said, "And you know why? You know why?" And I'm thinking, well, why is that? It's because she's batshit crazy. And so when she goes and she finally gets a hold of the gun, I'm thinking, oh man, this is about to get violent. I didn't know we were going here. She's gonna shoot this man. And then she does it, and she pleasured herself with a pistol, and that was so gangster. I don't know who came up with that.
I was like, you do you. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Can
I
I
was-
just say that? I
was
wouldn't, not for
impressive.
me, but it was
Yeah,
great.
for her, love that for her.
Mhm.
Rob
Yeah.
is like, I'm gonna shut this podcast.
I have no comment.
So it looked like me when y'all were talking about the towel.
No comment.
But it's just listen, I think that these kinds of scenes are reserved for men. So I think a woman in a powerful position being able to positively show pleasure, a positive-ish, right? But still
Mhm.
show pleasure in that way. Whereas I think usually when we see female pleasure, it's very much like in service of a man, right? Or
Mm.
that's how usually how movies do it. So I appreciate it that it was like it's just her and her
Mhm.
man ain't putting it down the way he's supposed to. So
Yeah.
she said, I gotta do it.
Okay. So Amy also we get a flashback to 2008 and apparently during
Oh, that was
Obama's
sad.
inauguration, was that
Yes.
inauguration or
Yes,
State of
we
the Union?
can.
Yeah. She invited over she got slid into the DMs of somebody from chess.com,
Was
which
that
I
like a Yahoo AOL chat?
I
Yeah.
believe Akiva's on there. He
my God.
recently posted a message
shouldn't
that,
say
that he got in his DMs there, and she invited an
Don't.
old white man to come over.
And
Yeah.
she forbade him from looking at her. Like, you can't see me. I don't want to see you. I'm gonna wrap myself up in
John
this cover.
Cena.
And or Tony Yayo, whoever. But she wraps up in the cover. You can't see her. I can't see you. Handle your business. And they start to have sex like that. And she didn't even look like she was enjoying it. So it made me question, like, what was your motive here? Because she looked miserable, but she also did it on her own. Like, lady, you could have charged for that. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I think it's that she's so effed up and has daddy issues. So that is
Mhm.
how we got here.
Mhm.
And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of shame with sexual liberation. So I
Mhm.
think all because when she sees herself in the mirror, it's the same like a
The
judgy
witch.
whatever. Yeah, the witch.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that it's all compounded together into this. Like, right? There's always the like I grew up in Oklahoma, right? The pastor's kids were usually always the wildest, and it's because
Mm-hmm.
right there wasn't a lot of expression. So that's what I see where I think when your parents are so strict and I know again in Indian culture there's a billion Indians in India, but sex is still, taboo apparently. How is it happening? Immaculate conception. I don't know. But, because it's so taboo, a lot of like horrible stuff happens because of that like repressed culture. So I think all of that unfortunately just came together and it was not, oh, that was a painful scene. I was like, Amy,
Mm-hmm.
like therapy, please.
Yeah, please.
Mhm. Yeah, well, she does go to therapy.
Yeah.
And we see that both Amy and George at different times are just like going through the motions of like that, everybody is like very smart. I feel like everybody like knows just what to say, and people can just parrot back the things that you're supposed to say in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah. They wouldn't let anybody in. And so with that, when you're carrying all that stuff that you've been hiding, you become an expert at hiding it. And that's what they had done. Because going to therapy does not work if you don't open up to the therapist. If you're giving the therapist nothing, then you're not going to explore anything. If she had said, when I was a child, this really bothered me. The therapist point blank said, is this how you like with your parents? Is this how you feel about your parents? And she said, I'm not talking about my parents. And it's like, and just change the subject completely. Lady, you're never going to get the help you need like this. But you're taught if you should go to therapy. People should go to therapy. Therapy helps. And so they did, but they were literally standing in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think what's again an issue is that you can't bring shame upon your family. That is very much a thread within this movie, IRL with Asians, right? So I don't know that how you can be honest about yourself. One, I think you have to go to a therapist that like understand. Like I think the only way therapy works for me is like if I go to an Indian person because they like understand the nuances, right? Of like having to not always be honest with your parents and it's not from a place of like oh whatever it has its reason, etc. So I think that's where it's like it works because you are talking to another another Asian. I don't know if the therapist was Korean, but another Asian person. But also it's like, oh my god, what if they know my family though, and that's gonna start a whole nother drama. So I don't know how you can be honest, and I don't. But also, I don't think I could go to a white person because then they're gonna be like, just like cut your mom off, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
cannot.
It's cultural. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So,
Everything with Junie was just very, very emotional and dramatic, especially once Junie gets kidnapped inadvertently by Danny towards I guess this is at the end of episode 8 that happens, where he comes back to the house, and again, what's it, Zane? That's his
yeah, Zane.
alter ego. And I did love all of the scenes where George and Zane were hanging out, where George was like he was like down bad for Zane, Chappelle. He loved him.
There's a moment where he's going to tell Amy that he had an emotional affair. And he says, I just need you to know that that there was an emotional entanglement. And she says, who? And he says, well, and before she can even finish his sentence, he says, with that Zane guy? It's like,
Yeah.
or
Somebody from your men's group? Yeah.
Men's
right.
group, yes.
That
She
Zane guy
knows.
from your men's group. She's like, George, come on. But it was with Mia. And I just thought that was so funny that Amy went straight to that. Like, it couldn't have been Mia, but this Zane guy you've been talking about a lot. I don't know about him. He might be trying to get at you. So yeah, that was fun. All their scenes were fun together. I like that when Amy calls Danny on it, like, can you stop hanging out with my husband? He goes, but he loves me. I was like, that is
Mhm.
relatable content. Like, people love me. What
Oh
am
my
I
god.
supposed to
But
do?
yeah, and Junie, all of Junie's scenes, I couldn't. Like, she could not give two F's about these stupid adults in her life. Like, what they're going through it. She's like, I just need candy. That's
Yeah.
me. So
Yes.
Junie, a mood.
But it was so interesting that Junie getting kidnapped, she said multiple times, "This is the best day of my life. I'm having so much fun. This is great." All Junie needed was to get kidnapped.
That's her mama's child.
She's her mama's daughter. That's right.
Yeah, that's her mama's
and
child.
her grandma's granddaughter. Okay,
Yeah,
Exactly.
Spoomy.
She come from a dramatic family. And yeah, the kidnapping that we keep alluding to is her literally getting inside someone's car. It's like, Junie, you didn't have to do this. So, but even in that moment, Danny could have stopped the car and let the child out and kept driving. But he took the car. He took the child to the house
because he thought he killed George.
Yes, but now he's trying to leverage it. Sir, you know the cops are coming. That's why you're leaving. Leave that child there and go. You got to get away. But nope, you take the child. Now you're trying to leverage it, like, oh yeah, meet me such and such. And then,
but where can you leave the child, Chappell? You can't leave her on the street.
Yes, you can, and it's okay. What? You kidnapped the baby? What? Sasha? What should he doing?
Oh, at least drop her off at a fire station.
I'm just saying, and you're right. There are alternatives.
Like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, but his natural instinct was, let me just keep the child with me, and that doesn't make any sense. But he wasn't thinking straight at that time. I'll give him a pass. But there were just moments
There's a lot going on.
He bobbed when he should have weaved a couple times, and that was his problem. But
I mean, that's the whole show. Yeah,
yeah, that's
this man makes questionable decisions. You know, we have not even talked about the big scam with the church.
Oh yeah,
and so we get where that there is like some love interest. I don't remember the name of Veronica. Okay, this was a former fling of Danny. She lived in Orange County. She has since married since the last time they hooked up in 2011 or 2012. And he starts going to her church. But Sasha, there's something about the church that Danny, who feels very alone and has like this deep sadness about him, that the church does. Like, I don't think it's all fake. You know, we see him cry. The church awakens something in him.
Yeah, and I think religion has a way of like bringing you home, right? I think we see specifically Danny and the Cho family, right? Like religion was a big part of their life, and I think for I saw this a bunch on Twitter where folks were talking about the church scenes and as Koreans how that felt so real to them, especially the basketball scenes, which I will say even Indian Christians and their basketball leagues, oh my god, it is a very real thing. So just I think see that there is a place you can go that feels like home, that feels together, right? When I go to synagogue in America versus when I go to in India, there is a big difference because it's like, oh, there's people like me. The prayers make more sense. I know all the tunes, et cetera, et cetera. I think for someone that's so lost, right, that literally tried to, you know, end their life not too long ago, I think finally felt like, right, I do have a place. And I think that was a beautiful scene. And I think we don't see that a lot when it comes to like religion, but in this place, it's just they weaved it in so beautifully. And then he scammed the church. But listen, the point is he found something beautiful. And I love seeing when like folks find like beauty in some parts of religion.
Yeah. And now ideally he would not have scammed the church. If the bank would have just given him a loan, he would not have had to scam the church.
It just has to bring us down.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's the real villain here? But I agree with Danny. You know, this moments, right, where he's in the church and he's crying because we talked about this. These people want unconditional love. If you can't get it from Jesus, who are you gonna get it from? You know, and so
that's a good point.
You're in there like pouring your heart out in those moments. The song selection in this show, the soundtrack was amazing.
Yeah,
he was singing his ass off too. But it was just one of those moments where
was that Stephen Yeun singing?
I don't know. Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I believe so because I saw a few things that were like released Stephen Yeun's like long extended track.
Yeah, it's still fascinating to me for me to watch it because this man knows he's awful. He knows he's horrible. He knows all the sins that he's carrying around, all the things that he's doing. He's currently scamming the church. Currently, right at this moment, he is getting his cousin locked up, and he still is having this moment with this religious moment with Jesus. You know, it's just like, yeah, you accept me as I am. You already died for my sins. It's one of those things where, yeah, this is me. You have me. Nobody else can have me, but you have me. And it was such a good scene.
One of the low-key funniest things about this show to me was that Danny is a horrible contractor. he is not good at anything. Like that, you could see, like, imagine a scenario where he's actually a very good contractor, but he's down on his luck. Business is bad. No, he is actually horrible at being a contractor, and it creates many of his problems. He should not be a contractor.
Bless his heart. Like, good contractors in California are so hard to find, and on top of that, you are a hot mess. Like, imagine hearing on a ring that people are trying to fire you. Oh my god, that scene where I was like, just the how bad must he be down on his luck? I mean, where he still came back to this job.
Yeah, he needed the money. He's awful, and he presents like he's not, right? He's going into this like, oh, what this is work. I need to keep this business afloat. I'm doing all these things correctly. He's so hard on his little brother, but he ain't bringing nothing to the table either. He's just projecting all that stuff on his brother. His brother actually has attempted to do something with his life, and he sabotaged him just so he could keep him in one spot, so he could always be better than his brother. And he's horrible at his job to the point where he burns down a house. It's wild.
His parents' house that he like did all this dirt to get. Foolish.
And they burned it down, and it's like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, Paul. It's like, Paul, it's definitely not Paul's fault. Stop trying to act like this. It's arson. It really is. That trick Amy, she did this. Sir, you're looking at the faulty wiring you used. You know that was you. There were little moments like that were so ironic that they made me laugh.
He can't even hang up the sign straight. That he could do nothing right. The one talent perhaps that he does have, Chappell, we do find out that from Veronica's husband, that he's ruined Veronica for all other men to come after.
You betcha.
No pun intended. Yeah.
You got the right ones.
Yeah.
The best she has ever had. And
his dad commented, "Wow, look at baby Danny."
Yeah, when the moment he could fresh out the womb, his dad they're like dipping the baby, trying to clean the baby off. He's like, baby kind of got packing a little bit. Okay,
Stop
look at this chobro.
That's what they said, and that's nasty. But also, he must not have been lying because years later, Veronica still can't get it off her mind.
But can I just say Veronica's husband was not giving what he needed to anyway. So I don't know that I think any man maybe could have done better.
That guy was such a loser. I mean, ultimately, when you think for a second, oh, did he burn the house down?
Yeah,
and then,
I definitely thought it was.
Yeah, Danny like confronts him. Did you do this? He's like, no. I just sent a bunch of magazines to your house.
It's like, I was just doing little pranks. I'm like, you amateur. Have you seen episodes 1 through 6?
Stand up.
Yeah, I'm saying, yes.
Correct, Rob.
It's one of those things like, we're in the big leagues, baby. You keep that stuff to yourself. The way they just discarded those magazines when they found it, like, is these yours? Yeah, I think I got them sent to whatever. Throw them away. We got bigger fish to fry. This man just peed all over the bathroom. They are literally sabotaging each other's life, and he's doing pranks. Go away. You're not.
No, he's embarrassing. You know what I mean? I was just like, no, Veronica deserves better. Veronica, leave him.
Yeah. Step your game up. Come on, man.
He wasn't. Yeah. That's the problem.
So there's like all this wild like surface stuff that's happening, but the show is just like I think probably rewarding to multiple viewings. I think it's so deep. Should we talk about the crows a little bit more? Because there are crows throughout the series, and some people are nice to the crows, some people are mean to the crows. But Sasha, the thing about the crows is that allegedly that there is, I don't know if this is actual study or urban legend, as the legend goes, that birds or crows in particular remember faces.
Yes.
And that after they heard about like what Dick Cheney did, they attacked Dick Cheney. And then we ultimately then have like the Dick Cheney masks coming out at the end of in episode 9. And then we see the crows do remember stuff, and we see them talking in episode 10.
Yeah, and also I think when you
But what does it mean?
look up crow imagery, it also symbolizes like death and afterlife and wisdom. So if folks get like dreams of crows, it means, there's like trickster energy going on and all of this stuff together. So I think it's just again the way they weave all of this stuff in where crows have beef with us, looks like, and don't mess with crows because they will never forget. And I'm very afraid of birds. I feel like if they gang up on me, like it's a wrap, like I will never leave my house. So don't mess with crows, but also I think it's this like idea of like afterlife, wisdom, intelligence. So I think through these 10 episodes, our characters are getting some of that all together as well. So again, just the writing impeccable. They also didn't write episode 10 until end, like while they were shooting. Sorry, they wrote
Oh.
episode 10, so no one really knew what was gonna happen until it happened, basically, because the writers' room ended before that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
the crows never forgot that time Danny was nice to them. And in episode 10, they kind of come to his rescue. Amy's trying to shoot him, and the crows are getting in the way. And so,
And they talk to each other.
yeah,
So
they definitely were communicating. They like, oh yeah, he's the one that he fed me once, but that woman, she scared my uncle. And so like, okay, like that's it. We on her ass. And so yeah, you be nice to the crows, maybe good things happen.
Yeah. There's also a lot in terms of like all of the art that we see to open all of the episodes that is very meaningful and beautiful and really like set the tone for all of the episodes. I watched some YouTube videos as well about this, and even like the names of the episodes have to do with the philosophy of Carl Jung,
mhm.
and the figures of light speaks to like all these different colors, the colors of the rainbow that Danny carries Skittles all throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
Chef's kiss, just
Chef's
chef's
kiss.
kiss.
I like a show where you can watch it and not know all of that and still enjoy
Yes.
it and then learn that, and it means so much more to you because now you're going to go back and you're going to look at every time Skittles or even a rainbow color scheme is there, right? We saw even when they started to vomit in that last episode, it was all in that same like rainbow motif. And so when you put all those moments together, it means so much more than if you just watch it and it's like, oh, they just threw up, or oh, Junie just likes Skittles, or because Danny says he always has Skittles in his car, and so it's a recurring bit throughout. But you can still acknowledge, like, enjoy the show without even knowing that.
Yeah.
Chappelle, you like Skittles?
I mean, I'm not a big candy person myself, like
Mm.
it's
Really?
fine. It's fine. Yeah, I'm not big on sweets. It's like
Oh.
it's not my thing. Yeah, more like
Yeah.
a savory type person. You know what I'm saying?
Savory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a big Skittles guy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I hate Skittles.
Mhm.
Don't make
Yeah.
me
About
look.
to
I
about to
actually
get
look like a
dragged.
band.
Yeah.
I will say for Danny that if you're going to keep candy in your pocket, Skittles probably not a bad one, Sasha, because the Skittles don't melt, right?
Yeah, like I'm an M&M's girl because I think
Yeah.
that's like actually tastes good. Skittles, what's going on? But sure, Danny, I guess it makes sense. For once, he does something that makes sense. I'm surprised.
Hmm. Um, we haven't talked about cousin Isaac, who really does bring a lot of problems on for Danny. There are times when really that Paul is like has had enough of Danny. Danny has no other recourse but to get more involved with Isaac. But Isaac is generally bad news for Danny.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also just so we know, David Cho, who plays Danny, did do all the art for the title cards for I think all the episodes as well, and is also a very messed up person. Don't look up what he did; it's not worth it. But
Hmm.
we know that. Just want to say before we start, he's sketchy IRL. Also, is the point. But what a guy, right? Like every time he's on
Cousin Isaac.
screen,
Yeah.
I'm cousin Isaac. I'm just ready to fight him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Like I don't like him.
Um, I did laugh at him quite a few times. There's a moment where he has been arrested and he's taking the fall for Danny. They get him out of jail, but he is not happy because the Filipinos are after him or whatever. And he's asking Danny what happened, and Danny's like, "Yeah, this bitch Amy was that I had a road rage with, and he's like, you been talking to her?" He said, "Well, I didn't use my real name. I used my name Zane." And Isaac just reaches back and slaps the shit out of him. I'm talking about, pow. He said, "You been out here cosplaying and I went to jail?" I screamed.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh my
That's
God.
a lot of the humor in this comes from like these like things that people say back and forth to each other that are just like you idiot, you thought this, like it's just really like sharp writing all the way around. It's really really fun watching a lot of these horrible characters talk to each other. Somebody else who I really like who's in this is Andrew Santino, who is one of the two. He's in like a million different things. Chappelle. He was in one of the Kevin Hart movies that we watched where he was like the neighbor who was snorting lines of Adderall, who was like the one in the dad group in the Kevin Hart movie with the one with Mark Wahlberg. No, it doesn't speak to you.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know this person.
But in the movie, he was one of the two goons that was like working for cousin Isaac, who came and ultimately tried to rob George and injured Fumi.
Mm-hmm. I was
the guy with the red hair. Yeah,
I was down with him for a while. But when they burst into the apartment with Isaac and basically go beat up Danny at this most pivotal moment, right, where he's just kidnapped this child, he's trying to get out of town, and now they are leading his cousin to him to beat his ass. I was like, not now, not now. So yeah, he lost me in that moment. And I'm pretty sure he's one of the few people that were murdered in this, because when they get inside the house, the police show up, there's a shootout, and we're seeing people's blood just plastered on the walls. How did we get here? This wasn't violent. He pissed on the bathroom floor once. That was where it was supposed to be.
But that was episode 1, so that should just tell you.
Before the time jump.
Correct.
Dear God. I mean, listen, we come so far to where, I mean, we didn't even know if Paul was alive anymore. It was crazy. But Andrew and I think it was another goon too. I think they both ended up dead.
Yeah,
Andrew, Michael, and Bobby.
Yeah, Paul strangled one of them in the car with Judy.
Yes, Bobby also died. You're right.
Yeah.
They both had to go.
They both did have to go. The stuff in Vegas was also very fun when Amy was on stage, like giving her presentation, and then Danny like asks a question from the audience, and I just thought I really love it. Amy just rolled with the punches and went with it. And it was such a great moment when then Danny's being like apprehended by security, and she just like gives him like the Dikembe Mutombo of
yeah, gotta be quicker than that, This was good. This was good because it shows how lighthearted the beef was at times, because half the time they didn't even know who they were beefing with. It's like he didn't know it was her. He had never seen her face.
And she had new hair every time.
Yeah, she kept switching it up. And so when he walks by and sees her face on that screen, he's like, wait, she's here? Really? And so that's his moment. And I'm happy that he took the moment because it was very funny, but she got the upper hand on him very quickly. Now, it did come back later on because everybody else is in their damn business and they putting the pieces together. Like, just leave these people alone. Let them beef. That's why y'all lives are ruined. Had you mind your own business, Naomi, your wife wouldn't be cut in half right now.
Well, she can just go back to her original husband.
Can she just go back?
Yeah, I'm sure. They're messed up enough.
Yeah, stand up.
One of the other moments that really made me laugh was when Amy and Danny, like, they end up like talking to each other. And so it looks like things are getting really bad for Amy and people are on to her. And she needs Danny to take the fall. And she wants to pay him off to do that. And so, he says, okay, give me $100,000. And she comes back and says, like, I was going to say 10. And Danny says, wait, $10? She's like, no,
She said
10,
10K,
10
you
grand, you idiot. Yeah.
They're so dumb. And Rob, that whole sequence was my favorite because he's like, well, don't you want to support Korean small businesses? And he's like, no. And then Amy says, I'm a small business. You're
Yeah,
a
you're
micro.
nothing. Micro business.
The micro business. He's like, it's not micro. I was like, okay, sir.
No, it's a
Look,
magnum opus
it's a
business.
magnum opus business. Yeah.
What are you
Mhm.
even saying? And it's just, and they're so quick with it. Like there's no pause, right? There's no awkward moment of like, oh, what am I gonna say next? It's just like they're just slapping each other verbally constantly, and it's so good. Also in Vegas, right? The whole Vegas moment where I will say Paul had me for a second in the first half because
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is Barbie. He's just Ken, where he'll drop
Mhm.
everything to go see her. I was like, this is what Amy needs because she's this, like, rich lady. She just needs some eye candy, some fun on the side. Because her man ain't doing it. Like, she needs. So, it was beautiful. And he showed up to Vegas. She paid him for his time. It was nice. He slept on the couch. And then he goes down, and Isaac was like, is that who we're wanting? Just hanging out. Like, why is Paul just living his life and getting jumped by these cousins of his? And then Isaac goes, respect your elders when he's making them run. I can't. Like, what was that Vegas scene?
I'm so
Yeah.
proud of Paul. This lady been playing with your life, man. She playing with your emotions. She got
He
you down
didn't
bad.
know.
But when he found out, what did he do? He went over there and he called
Oh,
her
you're
out on the Ring
stupid.
doorbell. He and that's why I've been screwing your wife. Like, whoa! I was like, yes, Paul, do it. Don't let these
But he
women hurt
didn't get
you.
anything out of it. He's stupid. You should
It's
have got money out
revenge.
of it.
It's that part. But again, I told you he's a horrible sugar baby. I'm saying,
Mhm.
like, you
He's
get the
not
money.
a
Yeah.
sugar baby. That's the thing.
But freaking George was ready to say, like, oh, okay. Fumi said that it was just like you were messing with that kid.
Yeah. Well, Fumi ass is messy too. You know,
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk Fumi because she's the
It's true.
queen of mess.
Fumi is supposed to be knocked out on the couch with these pills. They're supposed to be like, oh yeah, they're gonna make me drowsy. I know she didn't take them damn pills. She could tell what was about to happen because after they Naomi and Amy have a conversation where Naomi basically exposes Amy. The only person around is Fumi, and she sleep on the couch. Well, the very next scene we see Fumi, she's like, yeah, I overheard all that stuff. I knew it all. It's like, what? I was like, she did
Mhm.
not take those pills. She lied. And good for her. Messy
Listen,
queen.
Fumi is the best sugar baby of them all. She knows how to keep her check coming. Let's make that very clear. She said, this is the cash cow. I gotta
Mhm.
always be in support of cash cow. Because at first we were getting the whole like mother-in-law, like she sucks, blah blah blah. Like when she walked in on Amy taking the ass shot of herself, stop this. Why we didn't need
It
that.
was an ingrown hair.
Yeah, ingrown
Shut
hair.
up.
Couldn't see
Yeah,
it.
that later
Yeah.
showed up in Danny's room. Anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's just
Yeah.
all of it. Like Fumi and Amy's relationship, I was like, oh, like I'm over this trope. Like Fumi can move along with her, damn chair. Like just send her somewhere else. But then I was like, no, she's not trying to mess up her bag. And she knows her dummy son is going to mess up their bag. I
Yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah.
Fumi, I see you.
Amy
Yeah.
tried it. She tried to get out. She was like, now that we're getting a divorce, I don't know who's gonna take you on these shopping sprees anymore. And Fumi was like, you told me that my son was your anchor, and I know that without you, he would be nothing because he's a horrible artist. Y'all staying together. I need my money. I need my shopping sprees. I need my things.
Yeah.
I love
Well, I did think that there was also a lot of interesting stuff about the relationship between Amy and George, where it wasn't all bad. Like there were times where you could see like how it works, and while ultimately like it does not work. Like there were times when like that there were parts of George that were like good for Amy and parts of Amy that were good for George. But ultimately, it was just too much going on.
I think George works for a part of Amy that she's performing. I don't know that George works for actually Amy, right? This Amy in the streets, okay? And then we have George, who is again this mega vanilla, who has Mia's dumbass. Because can we just talk about how dumb Mia is? Like, why are you
Yes.
asking Fumi for a job. Like, look, wake up, look around. She is
Mhm.
her cash cow is your boss. Like, shut up, Mia. Right? So this is who George is chasing and is his twin flame. And they should divorce. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know,
Oh, I think
Amy,
that's done. Yeah.
leave him. But I think I'm angry, y'all, because George left Amy, right? Because in one of the texts that we get in episode 10, it's like, did you hear from my lawyers? Like, that's when they get service again. So I was just very pissed off that Amy didn't leave his victim ass. You know what I mean? Like, I would have wanted that.
Mhm.
I do want to speak on Mia as well. This is a circle back to her. I thought it was one of the funniest moments was Amy is catfishing as Mia, and Paul comes to work.
Kayla,
And
right? Or something.
yeah, and he comes to see his play girlfriend Kayla, who's really Amy but disguised as Mia. And so Amy sees this, pushes Mia into the back room, and starts talking to Paul as if she's her boss. Then Mia just comes out and Paul goes, Mia? Amy's like, nope, shut it down. And she completely admit to everything. And she still got away with it. I like that. That's fun.
This is why I was like, Paul had me in the first half, because I feel like he was really ride or die. He's like, no, like, I'm still about it. Like,
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
He would say a lot of the right things, and he would do a lot of the right things, and then he'd accidentally text Amy some screenshots of Mia.
Yeah,
No, that's
sucked.
George.
I'm sorry. That's right. That
that's
all
her
these
dumbass
Beatle names get me
husband.
confused. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's her dumbass husband.
Mhm. Yeah. All
Again,
right.
if your partner texted you screenshots of someone who you think that they're cheating on you with,
Mhm.
the beef would pause with this person and let my partner think he can just come home and things be normal.
Mhm.
It's like it's weird because she at that point wasn't cheating on him, but she was being very weird, and she was doing a lot of weird stuff. And I don't mean just like odd. I mean she was actively in a beef, like on a blood feud with somebody. So it's really hard for me to see her taking the moral high ground. Like, are you looking
He
at
doesn't
my
know that.
coworker? I know, but we know that, and so I wonder if it's just like, yeah, lady, come on, just come off of it. Let this man have his moment. You got a lot going on right now.
She said, let him be distracted.
Yeah,
That's good for me.
exactly. And she took advantage of it. She really did. She
That's
saw it,
valid.
and she never put her foot down about it because she knew that what she was about to do with Paul might have been even worse. And so, yeah, I liked Amy. She was cunning. I liked that. She kind of was she quick on her feet, you know.
All right. Beef series season. Anything else we want to add?
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to say that we might forget. We might have missed some stuff. There's definitely
Of course.
nuances that, as none of us are Korean, have missed. We know, okay? Just PSA, disclaimer.
We still loved it.
Yes.
We still enjoyed it greatly, and we appreciated this entire series because this was just a wild, fun ride.
It was great. I loved every second of it. Even the last episode that was so left field compared to everything else was still a good episode of TV, and it was
It was
tripping.
the best episode.
Yeah, I think so.
I will
was so
probably
good.
watch it again.
Just by itself. You don't even have to watch the whole series to really appreciate the last episode. But I could see myself watching this whole series. It's one of those things where you watch it and then you tell everybody to watch it, and they're like, "What is this?"
I'm not going to tell my wife to watch it. Chappell.
Oh yeah, and she gonna ask you about the towel.
She
No.
can just listen to this podcast.
Yeah, she can listen to the podcast. So we just put it in her queue. Yeah, I'll tell everybody else to watch this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it alone, everyone.
Yeah, don't watch it with
be
your
like
parents.
me. Listen, by mistake, I did, and it was a towel scene, and I had to be like, "Oh, let's watch something else." Wow,
Mhm. Okay.
my poor mom.
Rave reviews for Beef on Netflix. Chappelle, do we have any leads on what we're going to talk about next?
So
Well, I
Rob,
think
I've been
the one
thinking.
that's hot
Mhm.
is, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but coming up on Wednesday, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comes to Netflix.
Mhm.
Surely is a lock to be the #1 movie on Netflix next week, right?
It's gonna have to go up against Florida Man, and that might be tough because I've been seeing a lot of advertisement for that, and we know what happens when you type Florida Man in Google.
Yes.
So
And your birthday. That's a
yeah.
listen. That's how Mess Magnets got
Yes.
its reviews.
Well, Florida Man, I believe, is a TV show.
Oh, okay. And
Oh,
then
it is?
the Power Rangers is the
7
movie.
episodes, TV series, limited series.
Okay, I'm
Gotcha.
tired of these shows. Make movies.
Yeah. So we could definitely talk about Power Rangers. It would be fun. It would be out of the ordinary for what we do here on Nothing But Netflix. We haven't really talked about any like children's shows in a very long time.
Mhm.
And I know we would have some good guests. Jason Reed and Josh Wigler are both Power Ranger enthusiasts. I've talked to them about Power Rangers before on post-show recaps, so I know they would be down for it. Rob, I do have one problem though.
Yeah.
I can't not say it. I really think we missed the bus on this night agent thing. Like everybody's still talking about it, Rob. I don't know what we're gonna do to go back and get it, but still, it's been up. It's been in the top 10 for weeks. It hasn't dropped below
has.
2, and it's been a
Mhm.
month, and people are still like, "Y'all not gonna talk about this on Nothing But Netflix." We kind of have to, right? That's the
We have
assignment. This is
to?
the job. I mean, how can we ignore the one show everyone is telling us to watch? We say, "Give us your suggestions." They say, "Night."
I
The
just
night
feel
agent.
like
We're
that we
"No."
already watched it with Sasha
You
when
said
we
go
did the
watch The
recruit.
Recruit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I
nobody
know.
was
I
telling
haven't
us to
seen
watch
it,
The
so I
Recruit.
can't tell y'all.
I just feel like, are we too late to the party? Did everybody already watch it?
It's number 2.
You
How
can
about
make
this?
it relevant.
If people are asking us to do it, I'll do it.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm not about
Leave
banging out
them
one of these Netflix
10
shows in a week.
reviews saying watch the
Yeah,
not the
robbinsworth.com
recruit.
/Netflix feed. Let us
Oh,
tag us on Twitter.
yeah,
Yeah.
5-star reviews only, and
Yeah,
just tell
do
us that you want to
5s.
see.
Yeah,
Don't do
10
a
5-star
1-star
reviews.
review and talk about how we,
We can't
peed in
read that.
your,
Yeah, we
you
won't
know
even
what,
see
yeah.
it.
I'm Leah
The,
Michelle. I can't read.
the,
Mhm.
the
below 5.
algorithm doesn't let us see it anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like if we had to do a special episode of Nothing But Netflix, I wouldn't mind trying to slide the night agent in there at some point. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, we should also like double check and make sure like there isn't already post-show recaps, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers coverage as well.
I will send the necessary text messages.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Okay. Sasha, you and I just kicked off our coverage of a Big Deck Energy, our below deck sailing yacht coverage over on RHAP. That was very fun. We'll be back on Tuesday with more covering episode number 2. Chappelle, you going to check out below deck sailing deck?
Of
Sailing
course
yacht.
I am. What are you
Sailing yacht.
crazy?
Yeah.
Of course I am. I listen to y'all talk about it already on the podcast. I will be listening every week. I've never seen Below Deck, and I'm now going to watch it so I can know what y'all are talking about. I'm all in. If y'all are in, then I'm definitely checking out this podcast. I know it's going to be great.
Okay. All right. Sasha, what else are you working on?
Yeah, I'm also covering Mess Magnets, which is a pop culture vibes only, very messy podcast with Kirsten McKennis. And we're coming up on our 1 year. So we're going to be doing a Best of Mess Awards where we're going to be talking about all the stories we just covered this past year and seeing who comes out and wins it all. Vanderpump Rules probably, but we'll see. And over on post show recaps on the Everything is Super feed, I'm covering a show called The Power with Jason Reed, where again, an amazing show about feminism and teenage girls stepping into their power. So check all of that out. And for everything else, check out my Twitter at funsize_04.
Okay, great job covering all of beef with us here today,
Yeah, thank you
Sasha.
for having me. This was so
This is a
fun.
very fun podcast.
Yeah.
Chappelle, what are you
yeah.
working on?
Sasha, didn't y'all 1 year anniversary happen like a week ago or something? Like,
Okay, shut up. Do
Oh,
the
okay.
math. Move on.
I just saying,
Let's
as
not
a
have beef.
messenger,
How
You
about
want to
that?
piss her off? You want to
Yes.
be beefing, Chappelle?
me and Sasha are eternally beefing, and I love her just the same.
Why?
Yeah.
You're such a
But-
liar.
I am not lying. I'll start reading text messages. So violent.
Shut up. We
Um,
only beefing because Chappelle has too many friends.
That
And
is
he's
true.
not
He is
my
popular.
friend.
Yeah.
I-
Chappelle, what Enneagram type is everybody in beef?
They're all nuts.
Yeah.
All nuts. And I just leave it at that. But Rob, of course, I am still on post-show recaps, doing a lot of coverage right now.
Sure.
Wrapping up season 2 of Abbott Elementary with Gia, wrapping up Bel Air coverage with Puya in the next couple weeks, wrapping up the season finale of Snowfall, series finale of Snowfall on the post-show recaps, the Connect on post-show recaps. And so you can follow me on post-show recaps, follow all the things I'm doing on the post-show recaps network, I guess, or you can follow each separate feed and subscribe to them. So Bel Air at post-show recap, Abbott Elementary at post-show recap, or the PSR Connect. Do any of those, you'll catch the Chappelle coverage. I was recently on, some Survivor coverage with you. Big Brother coverage with you. I'm sorry, and then I did the Survivor B&B. So I've been a little bit of everywhere. But I think now that these shows are slowing down, I'm gonna have a little bit more time. So if you tweet me, dang, I'm not even on Twitter right now. I don't know how people can follow me now. I don't know what to tell them. Follow me on Twitter.
They
at
can wait
Chappelle's
for you on
Sports Show.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Wait for me to come back. I'll
Or
be
find
back,
him
I
on
promise.
Instagram. He posts lots of fun stuff on
Yeah,
his
find me
stories.
on Instagram. I've been posting cool stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Just
so follow
like
me on
Amy
Instagram.
found Paul on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, listen, you might find your Amy, but he's
The
ready,
actual-
everyone.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. Follow me on Instagram at Chappelle TNT.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great job here on Nothing But Netflix. Looking forward to whatever we come up with for next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.